The ongoing feud between two MAGA cultists, Marjorie Greene and Lauren Boebert, hit a new level when on the floor of the House of Representatives itself, Greene reportedly called Boebert to her face a bitch. Intrigued? Then click that like and subscribe and enjoy the video. So allegedly, other democracies, other republics around the world are in awe of the United States Congress, both chambers, the Senate and the House of Representatives. For whatever it's worth, the Senate, even though you wouldn't think so, given that Mitch McConnell is the grim reaper of legislation and, leader of a highly obstructionist political movement, but the Senate has been referred to for decades as the world's greatest deliberative body. And while I was thinking about this, I was like, I've never heard the House of Representatives be given such a lofty title. And after this story, I see why. Because the House of Representatives, particularly under Republican leadership today, resembles more of an episode of like Maury or, Jerry Springer, something like that. What am I talking about? Well, here's what I'm talking about. Marjorie Greene and Lauren Boebert, two members of the Republican Party's Freedom Caucus, the far-right, pro-Trump, fascistic element, have had a long-standing feud for months, if not years, and we see it escalating over time. And it reached a new level today with a clip I'm about to play and some reporting. Now, here's the thing. On paper, these two women have a lot in common, right? They're both highly conservative. They're both culture warriors. They're both ferociously, cultishly devoted to Donald Trump. They're both anti-democracy. They're both anti-holding corrupt Republicans accountable. And they basically want to install Donald Trump as a dictator for life. And they're both profoundly stupid, right? So you would think, given all these qualities, they would be the best of friends, right? Or at least close allies. And they're not. That's what makes this story particularly interesting, besides the profanity, is the fact that we're not seeing tensions between the far-right Freedom Caucus and the saner, more moderate elements of the rest of the GOP. We're seeing this between people who not only have a great deal in common, but are allegedly part of the same caucus, pursuing the same goals, okay? So I'm going to play the clip. This was on C-SPAN. You won't hear the words in question. They are confirmed after the fact by no less than 3 sources, but I at least want you to see like the body language and basically what was captured on camera. So let's go from here.
Take your conversations to the back. Off the floor.
They did not take it off the floor. They nearly took it in the ring, in the octagon, but they did not take it off the floor.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman... Order, please. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Florida, Mrs. Luna...
All right, so again, you don't hear the audio, but you can tell it seemed to be a bit of an intense exchange, and there was a lot of pointing, and they were standing uncomfortably close to each other. But here's what we know, according to reporting. Marjorie Greene calls Boebert a little bitch on the House floor. The angry exchange came as the two lawmakers had been swiping at each other over their competing resolutions to impeach President Biden. But tensions came to a head on Wednesday after Boebert leveraged a procedural tool, which we discussed in a previous video, to force a vote on her own impeachment resolution within days, undercutting Greene, who'd offered her own resolution, but now with the procedural advantages of forcing a vote. As we discussed earlier today, Boebert's attempt to force a vote on articles of impeachment against President Biden. We discussed in a previous video several days ago. Marjorie Greene issued her, I think it's like her 12th attempt to impeach President Biden. So basically, I mean, even right down to what they're trying to do, these two have so much in common. What we're seeing is the bigotry of small differences, just these minor little differences which are blowing up what could otherwise be, I imagine, a formidable right-wing alliance. But anyway, Greene apparently cursed out Boebert while the House was voting on Wednesday afternoon. As the two spoke in a center aisle of the House floor, part of their interaction was captured on C-SPAN's cameras. We just looked at it. Here's where it gets interesting. According to sources that saw the exchange and a third familiar with the matter, the back and forth began when Boebert approached Greene, then seated in the chamber, and confronted her over statements that she made about Boebert publicly. All 3 of the sources said Greene called Boebert a bitch. One of the sources said Greene called her a little bitch. According to the two of the sources, Greene then stood up and alleged that Boebert copied her articles of impeachment, to which Boebert fired back that she hadn't even read Greene's resolution, which in fact I do believe because I'm not entirely sure Boebert is literate. I've donated to you, I've defended you, but you've been nothing but a little bleep to me, Greene told Boebert, according to a source who witnessed the exchange, and then you copied my articles of impeachment after I asked you to co-sponsor them. The name-calling was witnessed or was confirmed by another GOP lawmaker and another source who witnessed the exchange. I heard Marjorie call Boebert a little bleep to her face. One GOP lawmaker said, granted anonymity by the Daily Beast to speak freely about the argument. Okay, Marjorie, we're through, Boebert then said, shrugging her shoulders. With Boebert's back turned, Greene responded, we were never together. That's actually a pretty good clapback, right? That's worthy of, like, I don't know, an HBO political drama. Reach for comment about the exchange. Boebert didn't deny the back and forth. Marjorie is not my enemy. I came here to protect our children and their posterity. Joe Biden and the Democrats are destroying our country, she told the Daily Beast. My priorities are to correct their bad policies and save America. Now, you would know that, given that she's really not part of any sort of legislatively robust agenda. It's just constant culture war crap that doesn't matter to the American people. But that's all the Republican Party traffics in. As for her part, when asked about their exchange, Greene told the Daily Beast, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Yikes. So again, obviously, the profanity, the drama makes it somewhat interesting in a lowest common denominator popcorn style way. But to me, it's really interesting because, again, for years, the Republican Party has been generally pretty good about mobilizing and closing ranks behind whichever leader and whatever agenda they have. The expression is Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. And under President Biden's leadership, for the most part, we've actually seen a reversal of that, where moderates and progressives, for the most part, under Biden's leadership, have been relatively united, especially for Democrats and the left, and Republicans have been just, fighting amongst themselves incessantly, which is great for Democrats. It's great for those of us on the left. It's great for the country because Republicans in disarray and disunity are much less dangerous, right? They're much less capable of mobilizing their various systemic advantages to hurt the country, including their own constituents. So this is very fascinating in that respect because, again, all of this is going on. It's such a defiance of what we typically have expected for decades from the GOP. And it's also proof of fighting in between the one faction, which is most dangerous, the Freedom Caucus, the Trump cult, the MAGA cult, and seemingly for no reason. Again, the commonalities between the two lawmakers in question, Greene and Boebert, they're both far-right culture warriors. They're both devoted sheepishly to Trump. They're both anti-democratic. They're both anti-intellectual. They're both bigoted, homophobic, transphobic. They're both obsessed with firearms and fitness. And they're both trying to impeach President Biden. So, just like on every major level, you would think they would be the best of friends, if not the closest allies. And for one reason or another, they're not. So hopefully that disunity continues. But if it continues at the rate it is going, I wouldn't be surprised if within a matter of months, we see the first fist fight on the floor of the House of Representatives in decades. So the Sergeant at Arms better be ready.